Welcome back to the Kempire Radio podcast, and this is our weekly mix of things that we don't necessarily get a chance to talk about on the Kempire Daily YouTube channel or any other place. So we're going to talk a little bit about some things that I don't necessarily even want to get into, but we have to. And a little bit later on, we're going to have a special guest, Nicole Reiki Healing, to explain what the hell is Reiki? What in the Reiki is going on? Welcome back, guys. So I have to talk about this, unfortunately, because it's currently happening. As you know, the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills has been in the headlines this week because Garcelle's son, Jax, was cyber attacked. Basically, bots. And I know a lot of people are saying, oh, Bravo fans, even Bravo released a statement late Thursday night, they released a statement condemning this sort of behavior from viewers. But as we've seen, and based off of a lot of you Bravo investigators, this whole situation was bought and paid for. We don't know by who. Look, people are speculating it's a housewife. There's also a whole petition for Bravo to investigate. Here's the thing. I also understand, and I've said this recently here on this platform and other platforms, there are sectors of the Bravo universe that are dark, hateful, racist, misogynistic. They are there. So it wouldn't shock me if a fan of Erica or a fan of Diana or a fan of Lisa Rinna bought and paid these bots. You can get a bot or bots for very cheap. We pointed that out. Thank you, Bravo investigators. So all of this began because of, quote, beef between Diana Jenkins and Garcelle. And we're still wondering, like, why Diana is targeting Garcelle specifically. Why? It's even this last episode of the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, we were like, it came out of nowhere. We were talking about one other thing, and now you're saying to Garcelle, I feel like you're the most guarded one. What? How did we get here? Well, all of that has spilled onto social media, and after Diana decided to make a couple of posts about Garcelle and her attacks on her when she was in the middle of having a miscarriage. And Garcelle said, I would never make fun of you having a miscarriage. I've had a couple of miscarriages myself. I would never make a joke about that. Well, that led to Jax, her 14-year-old son, being attacked on social media, not just with like, oh, tell your mother to stop. No, people were saying racist things to Jax, 14-year-old. And look, a lot of people are saying that Garcelle is using race and, Erica Jane chimed in when a fan said to her, where was Bravo's statement when your son was being threatened when he was, a police officer in 2020? And Erica responds, exactly. And thanks to you, Bravo investigators, you reminded me that Erica herself said back in 2020, because, police were being, there was a big spotlight on police and their behavior. Okay. So Erica said that Garcelle was the first person to reach out to her to check up on her son back in 2020. So probably Erica conveniently forgot to even remember that that's what happened. Conveniently. So all of this led to more back and forth on social media. A lot of people asking Bravo to say more, do more, investigate who was behind this attack on this 14-year-old. Look, we also have to remember Jax was also targeted on the show. This was filmed. We saw Erica yell at this boy, curse at this boy for no reason because she was drunk. Drunk and inebriated with other things. Her admission. But in my last video and covering this story and covering Erica's response to that person saying, where was a Bravo's statement when your son was being attacked? I'm tired of talking about these ladies. I'm tired of talking about a show that's no longer fun to recap because they become so toxic. The Bravo fans, but also the housewives themselves. Well, now this has led to attacks on Diana's family and friends. We're hearing now that she's had to hire 24-hour security. Look, I'm not justifying any of that at all either. We've said this before when not you guys, you know what I'm saying. When people were attacking Portia, Kyle Richards' daughter, I said, none of that's necessary. Why are you guys bothering children? Why are you bothering these housewives? Why are you in their comments? It's one thing to have your own platform and you're talking and reviewing the show. It's another thing to be in their comment section, tagging them, harassing them. That's a whole other thing. Leave them alone. And as I said before in my other video, get some help, get some therapy. Look, let me just take a pause. Patrick Summers. You're welcome, Patrick. The fact that I'm even talking about you, because there are multiple videos that I could have done about your, this is what I was hired to do. I was the one who bought the bots, but I didn't buy the racist bots. And then he posted, I've been invited to the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills reunion. I told you originally, I didn't believe a word come out of this man's mouth because of everything that transpired before, when he said that he was Kathy Hilton's assistant and then said, oh no, I was paid and bought by Lisa Rinna. And all of you, including my peers, started reporting on it back then and now. And I'm like, oh, what? Why are you guys giving this guy any sort of credibility when he proved himself to be not credible before? But teach their own. But I wasn't going to do it. But look, people also don't realize the reason why I even speak on it is because so many people tag me. So many people, Kempire, are you going to talk about this? Kempire, are you going to talk about this? And I appreciate you guys keeping me in the loop of what might be going on. But this is why I have to respond to idiocy. It's because Patrick Summers has no credibility. And that was proven yet again with this whole scenario. When he says that he was invited to a reunion, I already knew he was lying, because if he was invited to the reunion, Bravo would not allow him to let people know that he's invited to the reunion. However, Variety editor at large revealed last night, and I reposted her on my Twitter, that this information about this man being invited to the reunion is completely false. Completely false. Now that I've spoken on it, can we move on? Can we move on to something else? So, speaking of the Housewives world, as you know, BravoCon is coming here. That's another thing a lot of you have been asking me, am I going to attend? Well, after this week, I think that was the cherry on top for me. I will not be attending. I will not be attending. Will I see some of you guys while you're in town? Maybe. Look, maybe we'll do something. I have no idea. But I will not be attending BravoCon. So for those that are asking, no, I will not be attending BravoCon. Honestly, I'm ready to book a trip, but I might remain in town just, like I said, for other things. All of that being said, Real Housewives of Atlanta's reunion looks came out this week. And I have to say, immediately when I saw them, I was like, oh, this is not it. This is not it. Like, I have to remove my thing. I wasn't impressed. I mean, shout out to Riley Knox. I think Riley Knox has done some really amazing reunion outfits for some of these Real Housewives. She did Drew Sidora's look. Drew Sidora looked really good. She really did. Kenya looked really, for me, Kenya was the best. Candy looked okay. I mean, she looked okay. But I mean, in regards to a reunion, to me, it was a safe look. She looked beautiful, but it was a safe look. Marlo looked a mess. Sonia, I didn't love that outfit at all. Hair and makeup looked great. Who else? Sheree's a beautiful woman. I felt like the top, and I may be gay, but I can appreciate breasts. It just felt like it was too tight up there. Like it just wasn't cut. It wasn't like sexy. It was just sort of like overly sexy. If you get what I'm saying. I felt like it was just too much. You know what I mean? Like you can show, but very much like we were talking about the Real Housewives of Dubai with Lisa's outfit. I felt like it had the opposite. Like it was too out. Like I'm like, what is going on? I didn't love the look. We get it. It's Atlanta. It's Georgia peach. The peach theme. Okay. No word on what is happening at this reunion. The last time we spoke about this on Kempire Daily, we were talking about the seating chart. Word on the street, according to Carlos King, Sheree got the seat next to Andy. Marlo's on the other side of Andy. And I told you in my last time of talking about this, reflecting back on this season of Atlanta, it wasn't a terrible season, especially with the new housewives that we have apart. But I think Marlo may have ruined the show. Okay, she didn't ruin the show, but it wasn't a great season. I don't need Marlo to come back as a full-time peach holder. She had no storyline. It was nice to see Sheree back. I liked seeing this fun side of Kenya. Kenya didn't have much of a storyline. When I think back on it, I'm like, yeah, Kenya really didn't need to sit next to Andy because she really didn't have, the drama this season. And that's who sits next to Andy, who had this season of drama. There was a lot of things that Sheree had to deal with. Tyrone, Drew, and her fashion line. So to me, it makes sense. She should sit next to Andy Cohen. If anything, though, Drew probably should have sat over by Andy Cohen versus Marlo. Let's be honest. She had, although I don't believe her storyline completely, but she had the most drama. She had a storyline with Ralph. She had the fight with Sonya. She had the fight with Sheree. Can you imagine? I think she should have been next to Andy. That's the part it seems. These are the random thoughts that I have later, and that's what I share here on the podcast, guys. Let's move on. Because since we're talking about reality TV, let's talk about 90 Day Fiance. And I'm not talking about that terrible tell-all. The tell-all was terrible, just as bad as the season. And Jibri, I cannot wait. Or Sparkles. Oh my gosh, John, I just wish John had made contact with Sparkles. I really do. But the big story from 90 Day Fiance this week, well, sidebar, I am enjoying 90 Day Fiance UK. It's a mess. We still haven't met two of the couples. If you were wondering where you can watch it, Discovery Plus. Discovery Plus has so much content that I haven't even dived into, including the International Housewives series. They have some of them there. So I enjoy 90 Day Fiance UK, but 90 Day Fiance news offline. Eve and Mohammed, she's been charged with domestic situation. Look, a domestic situation. There was audio. Let me play the audio for you guys.
So what is your problem? I don't know.
My problem is I need help.
With what?
Everything. Do this. Help me put this away. Put the laundry away.
You can't be
I'll ask you
talking
to do
to me
that
like
much.
that.
Okay, just help me then. You're stressing me out.
You can't talk to
Just
me like
shut
that.
up. Shut up.
You can't talk
Shut
to
up.
me
Leave
like
me alone. Okay, I need fucking help. I don't want you to leave, okay? Fuck. How hard is that to get through your head? You're
If I wanna leave, I wanna leave.
Go then. Fucking leave. I don't care. I'll do this shit by myself because I will anyway.
Do it yourself.
I will.
Do it.
I will do it myself.
Don't touch me.
You don't.
Okay.
Fucking, why can't you just help me? I'm so fucking stressed out. You can't even help me. You want to go to a stupid dinner with your friends. Okay, I have other shit I need to do right now. Now I gotta do this shit because you're gonna fucking leave.
If you touch me again, it's not gonna be okay, okay?
Well, Jen, why can't you just stay? I told you I need your help.
Look, and some of you, it's so interesting to see the comment section because a lot of you are like, well, she just sounds like a lady that's frustrated with him. And she does. She sounds like she's asking for his help. And conveniently, he recorded this. Mohammed recorded this. And now her attorney is speculating that he's doing this so that he can get a U visa versus the K1 visa.
This is exactly what happens when you fake your way into the United States. If any of you watched 90 Day Fiance, you are familiar with Yvette and Mohammed and their rather interesting marriage. Yvette got engaged to Mohammed and brought him over here on a fiance visa, which requires you to get married in 90 days. However, things took a turn to a worse. What my client, Yvette Ariano, discovered is that Mohammed came over here with ill intentions. He doesn't actually love her and pretty much came over here to get a green card. She soon found out that he was cheating on her with not one, but two women. Even more, we found out that he's friends with someone from an immigration Facebook group who coached him on how to falsely accuse her of battery so that he can get a U visa. Yvette soon found out that once she broke up with him for cheating on him, that's when he started planning the U visa scam. And now she has hired me and my lovely firm of ladies to make sure that USCIS knows that he is claiming immigration fraud. Why is this important to me? Because USCIS only gives out a certain amount of U visas a year. So with people like this claiming immigration fraud, it takes away the credibility from people who actually deserve it. Not only will USCIS likely blacklist him, considering his lack of credibility, but he'll likely get deported, because what happens when you commit a crime while you are undocumented in the United States? You get kicked out.
Well, then there's that. I just don't know if I would want my attorney pleading my case on TikTok, to be honest with you. But this story is probably the most interesting thing to come out of this entire season. Honestly, I didn't expect this to happen, at least not them being the most interesting thing to come out of this season. But here we are. This should be an interesting thing that's going to play out in court. I wonder if he will be deported. I wonder how much evidence Eve has on him besides the text messages, because all of you 90 Day Fiance investigators are pretty damn good, because there were quite a few text messages of him talking to this other woman, plotting and planning this whole situation. Here we are yet again. So we cannot go through another episode of this podcast without talking about Wendy Williams. I know last episode I said I could not talk about Wendy Williams again, because I just feel like every week I'm talking about Wendy Williams and it's not getting any better. However, this week, Wendy Williams' former attorney, LaShawn Thomas, came out and talked about what went down with the Wells Fargo situation. We found out in her interview with Page Six, her statement to Page Six, that the reason why this whole situation was even sparked, this whole Wells Fargo freezing her accounts, Wendy Williams' accounts, was because of a purchase that her son was trying to do when it comes to his Florida condo. He was looking to purchase it. So that prompted Wells Fargo, allegedly, to freeze her accounts. LaShawn says when she went into the bank with Wendy and her son, the branch manager called Lori Schiller, who's been accused of, trying to freeze these accounts and saying that Wendy is not a sound mind. When they called Lori said she wanted to speak to Wendy by herself, no lawyer, no, person. Some of you have reached out to me in regards to this and say that you've worked for, banks, and they will do that to ensure that there is no influence. If there's an issue, if Wendy wants to send a message like I need help, those types of things. That's why they wanted to go in with Wendy by herself. However, according to LaShawn is saying, well, no, every person has the right to have their attorney represent them in those types of situations. And I can see what LaShawn is saying there. As you know, this is all a culmination. Since the last time we talked about Wendy, there was a whole expose done by The Hollywood Reporter about the last days of the Wendy Williams show. And they highlight Wendy hiding, allegedly, liquor bottles in the ceilings and things like that, but then also odd behavior. Speech patterns were not the same anymore, memory loss, hallucinations, all of this. Bernie Young, her former manager, was also in this interview. I keep saying this, but I might understand why Wendy Williams might not be able to trust anyone, because literally everything that we've heard, I'm like, I don't know who to trust. I don't know if I should trust LaShawn Thomas, who is also currently the attorney for her ex-husband. Okay? So he also has a thing in this whole situation. And I know I've heard from other people, well, Kevin is being paid his alimony because the financial guardian that's over Wendy's money is paying her bills and things like that. But who knows if he was getting extra before? I don't know. And that's why I say I don't trust LaShawn. I don't trust, Wendy's current representation. I just feel for Wendy. I just wish that she could. And I know a lot of people are like, where's her family? Where's her family? Her son is young. I said before, I felt like he needed to step up and really take care of his mom. However, he's 20. He's 21 years old. He's a young kid. And I know a lot of people are asking, where's Wanda? Where's Wanda? Word on the street, Wanda was trying to help too. So I don't know what is happening here. I don't know what's going on with Wendy Williams, but that is the latest update. the Hollywood Reporter came out with 2 different articles talking about Wendy Williams, talking about her predecessor, Sherry Shepherd. Then we had LaShawn Thomas, her former attorney, coming out and making her own statements. All we can do at this point, and I keep saying this, and I really do believe in the power of intention, the power of prayer, just wish Wendy well, wish that she is surrounded by good people that are looking out for her, and that she is able to get the help that she needs for whatever might be going on with her. So guys, I think it's time. Yes, a lot of you always ask me, I've mentioned before on my TikTok or on social media that I was recently, a couple of months ago, more than a couple of months ago at this point, I was recently trained for Holy Fire Reiki. Reiki is an energy healing technique, and I wanted to have someone that does it and has been doing it for years here. And I've been following her on social media for maybe almost 2 years now on TikTok, and she does Reiki there. She's been doing it, like I said, for a very long time. And now we have her here on the podcast. So let's get into this. What in the Reiki is going on with Nicole Reiki Healing? Hey everyone, welcome back to the Kempire Radio YouTube channel and podcast. As I told you, this is a platform where we talk about a variety of things. Yes, we talk about reality TV, we talk about pop culture, but we also talk about all these other things that I love and adore. And I've been telling you, I recently got certified as a Reiki practitioner. So I had to get someone that is a Reiki master. She'll explain what that is. I love anything that's a master. Please, everyone, welcome for the very first time here on Kempire Radio, Nicole Reiki Healing. Wait, hold on. Yes.
Thank you so much.
First of all, Nicole, I have to tell people how I even know you and how I got wind of who you are was TikTok.
Yes.
And I started following you probably like almost 2 years ago because it was during the pandemic.
Yeah. So I started my account almost 1.5 years ago. So it's probably right in the beginning around that time.
Okay. All right. So that makes complete sense. And you say this as well. You're attracted to who you're attracted to when it comes to a Reiki practitioner. And I was immediately attracted to your account, and I've been there ever since.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Every time that you go live, I'm like, all right, let me go. I accept.
I'm the same way when it comes to others. It's like you're so drawn into it.
Yeah. And I was just like, okay, I just sit. And sometimes I don't even make myself known. I'm just like, I'm here.
And that's okay too. Just kind of chill out and relax.
But you have created such a community on TikTok and on other platforms. Let's just get into what Reiki is, and then we'll talk about how you got involved with Reiki. Because a lot of people hear me saying, like, what's that?
Yes.
What exactly is Reiki?
So Reiki is a healing technique that was discovered in Japan over 100 years ago. It's all about universal life force energy. So as a Reiki practitioner, we channel that universal energy and we transfer it to you through light, gentle touch with our hands to help kind of balance and align your body.
Wow. And how long have you been doing it?
Over 18 years, almost half my life.
Wow. Wow. And how did you get involved in Reiki? Like, how did you discover it?
So I have always had anxiety my entire life. It started when I was really young with separation anxiety and kind of morphed into social anxiety. And in the early 2000s, my father was diagnosed with cancer, and him and my mom did not tell anyone in our family about it. But my sister and I kind of noticed a shift in their behavior. We went from doing like a lot of like pizza nights to more like holistic and naturopath things. So we kind of noticed something was going on. But he had researched a lot of holistic and natural healing modalities to kind of help him further along with this cancer journey that he was on. And I don't really know the behind the scenes stuff of how it got to be to me, but I'm assuming he had talked to the people he was working with about myself and my anxiety. And he introduced me to a Reiki master when I was around 18, and I had a Reiki session and a guided meditation, and it absolutely blew my mind. It was like the most relaxed I had been in years, and I had no idea what it was or anything about it. And I just remember this Reiki master was standing behind me, and out of nowhere, my body just started to kind of sway, and I got really warm. And I turned around, I looked behind me, and he was kind of doing like the traditional Reiki thing with his hands. And I was like, wow, like I can feel the energy coming off of him onto me. And it just completely blew my mind.
And some people don't even realize, even when you're doing it on live, when you're doing it on TikTok, you can feel it through, and people think it's through the phone. But as you always say, energy I mean, what's the spiel? I know you say
Yeah,
this.
so energy is not bound by time, distance, or space. We are all energetic beings. Energy is all around us. So the intention is always set. You do have to be a certain level in Reiki to be able to be trained to do distance healing. I study Usui Reiki, and with that, it is level 2. So not everyone can do distance, but I encourage everyone who's interested. It is great to learn and do. I send Reiki all over the world. My sister lives in Nepal. I send it to her and her pets all the time. You can send Reiki to the past, present, and future. So there's really no limits to what you can do.
And there are how many levels to Reiki? I know that the tier 1.
Yeah.
Where you're
So
able to heal yourself, right?
Yes. So with the Usui Reiki, there's 3 levels. The first level is for you. It's kind of adjusting your body to the new energetic levels that you're going to be channeling. You can do Reiki for yourself or family and friends in person. Level 2 is distance healing, where you can do it for others over time and space. And then there's the Reiki Master, where you can also be a teacher, where you can now teach and attune others to the process.
And now you are a Reiki Master.
I am. I'm a Reiki Master teacher.
And so are you going to start classes? And let's, because I told everyone that I became a Reiki practitioner a couple of months ago. The only reason why I didn't do it with Nicole was because at the time she wasn't teaching.
I was not teaching. I am just now almost done with my level 1 course, and I'm hoping to have it up by September 1st. And as soon as that gets uploaded, I'm going to go right into working on my level 2 and master course as well.
Well, I was trained in Holy Fire, but it's okay for me to learn Usui too, right?
Absolutely. So I'm actually trained in 3 styles. I also recently became attuned to a master teacher in Sakim Reiki Energy and Violet Flame.
And because I know a lot of people are like, what's the difference between all of these different
So with the Usui Reiki, it was discovered over 100 years ago, and that's considered the more traditional style. And from there, kind of branch off other different styles. So with Reiki, we use sacred symbols that represent different things with energy healing. So different styles have different symbols. They're also discovered by other people in other parts of the world.
Wow. But you also do something a little different in regards to Reiki. You use crystals.
Yes.
I'll be honest, I just ordered a whole assortment of crystals last night. We have a symbol.
I'm in crystal jail right now. I really should not be ordering more crystals.
I love a crystal, just saying. Like
I do too, but I should be in a crystal timeout.
But you use crystals as a part of your Reiki. And why is that?
So all crystals represent different types of healing and variations of that. And for me, with my anxiety, I'm not someone who really likes travel. And this is a way for me to kind of bring little parts of the world into my life and to use that as a way to enhance the Reiki healing energy with specific intentions and purposes behind each crystal.
Okay. What's your favorite crystal? Because you say that you have anxiety. And I know a lot of people that are watching this or listening to this wonder, okay, what crystals? Because I always hear this for anxiety or sleeping, or like what crystals do you use for anxiety?
For my anxiety, amethyst is always my go-to. It is considered a master healer, which means it can kind of help balance and align your entire body or chakras. But for me, anxiety is very calming and soothing. It's one that's good to keep by your bed. So if you have trouble sleeping at night, if you're an overthinker, that's a really kind of overall good one to have.
What about, let me think. What are your, because you are, I know you don't have a crystal. Do you have a crystal daddy? I know that's a thing.
No, we're working on that. I have a husband, but he's trying to keep me from buying more crystals.
So you need someone that's going to help you get the crystals. What are some of your favorite crystals and why?
So the first 5 crystals I ever had were selenite, because that is self-cleansing. So I use that to cleanse and take care of all my other crystals. I also use that for personal cleansing and protection. Amethyst, as I said before, for my anxiety. I love black tourmaline for grounding and protection as well. Yep.
I might have
rose quartz for self-love and love in general, and overall just like emotional support is really good. And tiger's eye for courage. Those are probably the ones that I started out with.
Okay, because people are, if they're getting into crystals, they always want to know, what should I start out with? And one of the advice that I always get from people is that whatever you're attracted to, what I mean?
There are so many times I don't even know what a crystal is or what it's called, and I'm just so drawn to it, and I buy it just because I'm intuitively feeling connected to it. And then once I get it, I'll look it up and I'm like, oh, like that's exactly what I was looking for. Perfect.
Exactly. So what are other things? See, I know when I see people doing Reiki, everyone has a different way of doing it. I remember when I learned Holy Fire, they said even technically you don't even have to use your hands in order to do Reiki. Why do you think people use their hands in order to send Reiki?
I think it's an easier way to kind of stay connected to people, especially if you're doing an in-person session. I have so many people who confuse my live with ASMR because the hand gestures and motions are so similar. And it's true, like it can create that kind of tingling sensation and effect. But I always explain to people, like, ASMR is all about the tingling and sensations. You have to see or watch it. But with Reiki, you can like turn off the screen, you can turn off the volume, and as long as you consent to receive, you'll still receive the healing. But with the Sui Reiki, you can also send Reiki through your eyes, through your vision, and through your breath. So there are times where I will do kind of a mix of all three, but I think with the hands, people have something to really focus on and see and connect with, and it kind of helps draw them into it.
What has been, because everyone always has questions, and I know you're always answering questions in your TikTok lives about, what people are experiencing, because everyone has a different experience once they're receiving Reiki. Can we just talk about those different experiences? So when someone does go, maybe they'll go to you or they'll go to another Reiki master and they experience something they don't want to feel like, was that abnormal? Did I get Reiki? What happened?
Yes. So I always tell everyone there is no right or wrong way to experience Reiki. The energy is intuitive. It's going to go to where you need it, not always necessarily where you want it. But generally, the more common things you experience are, me personally, when I receive Reiki, I usually get warm or like tingling sensations. I've had people get really cool. Some people might feel a slight pressure or pinch or something like that if they have some kind of energetic block being released. I've had people in sessions have just emotional releases where they start to cry. I've had people have emotional releases where they start to laugh. So there's really no right or wrong way to feel.
I have to say, when I've received Reiki, usually, especially if I'm watching you, I'm just relaxed. It really isn't, every once in a while, maybe like something in my throat will start to tingle, but that's very rare. Usually for me, and I want to speak for those people that feel like I feel nothing or I just feel relaxed. Well, sometimes it's just that. It's just
and that too is completely okay. We have what we like to joke around on TikTok as the phone to face club, because so many people fall asleep and they accidentally drop their phone on their face just because it puts them into this really deep state of relaxation. And then I have people who don't feel anything at all. And I always advise them, like, you might not just be receiving the healing on a more physical level. You could be receiving it on a more mental or emotional level at that time. I have hopped on other people's lives and received sessions from people where physically I feel nothing other than just being relaxed.
Which is sometimes all you need.
Yes, absolutely.
In regards to healing and for those that are looking for healing, I know this is not the end all be all for healing, but who would you suggest get Reiki? And can you get too much Reiki?
There's no such thing as too much Reiki. When you're consenting to receive, because the energy is intuitive, if you've kind of quote unquote had enough, you will just simply stop receiving. There's no such thing as really overdosing on Reiki. I have people who ask, is it okay to watch more than one video a day or to get more than one session a week? I always tell people to trust what you're feeling. If you feel like you need more, then go for it. If not, then that's okay too.
Okay. Note to self.
Yeah.
Because I could watch Reiki all day, every day. I technically I do.
Yeah.
If you're on, I'm like, okay.
Same.
I'll take whatever I need, because it can also be very relaxing.
Yeah.
Can we just talk a little bit more about your journey in becoming a Reiki master and the period? Because it was a long period between, being a practitioner and being a master. Can we talk a little bit about that and why?
Yes. So I personally started this journey about 18 years ago, and I did every attunement from a different Reiki master teacher just because I was in college at the time. I was moving. I was never in one spot for too long. But each master teacher that I had practiced under wanted me to wait at least a year in between each level. Now, obviously, social media and kind of interacting with people was more of an in-person thing back then, less than we are doing now. So for the purpose of being able to practice on others, they really wanted you to have the time in between to work on that. After each Reiki attunement, you're also supposed to do a 21-day cleanse. And I don't know if that's the same with Holy Fire. I know it's part of the Isui Reiki process where you're allowing your body to kind of just absorb the attunement, acclimate to the new energy. So for me, I was supposed to like not really use technology. You're supposed to eat clean and healthy for 21 days. And being a student in school, like not being able to use my computer was not really an option. So I tried to do a slightly different version of the cleanse, but it is recommended to do to kind of help your body acclimate to the attunement. So when I teach, I'm probably going to have people wait at least 3 to 6 months in between each level because I really want them to get used to that energy and the attunement. But there are people who teach like all 3 levels in a weekend. And I always tell people like, you have to do what you feel is right for you.
Yeah, because I did the first 2 levels within a weekend, and the Reiki Master, I believe in a year, then I can do the Master. So that everyone has their own sort of different way of doing it. But and part of the reason why I wanted to do this was because I do want more people at least doing level 1 so that they're able to do it for themselves. And like you said, for their family and their friends, because can you imagine? Do you have any stories of people talking about how Reiki has helped them?
Yes and no. I mean, speaking from my own personal experience, my father was diagnosed with cancer, and this was in 2003 when I first started learning. And I learned later in life when I found out that he had cancer. I only found out like a year and a half before he passed away, and he passed away in 2017. And I had heard so many times that so many doctors told him he only had months to maybe a year to live, and he stopped listening to doctors because he got tired of having this expectation of when he was going to pass. And he credited Reiki with a lot of the fact that, like, you know, he was able to self-heal. He was able to kind of control his own health to a degree. And we never say that Reiki cures. That's a huge red flag for anyone who says that, but it can help heal. It can help elongate. It can help bring peace and harmony to your life. And when things kind of fall into balance that way, it's so easy to kind of just move on past the sickness and the illness.
Can we talk about what it means to you that your father sort of opened you up to this whole new world that you still use almost 20 years later?
Yeah, I mean, I'm so grateful for my parents because Reiki has changed my life in so many ways. I mean, especially in the last 6 years, I really started focusing on my own like inner healing, less focus on healing others. I know, which is weird to say because I'm on TikTok and all this social media doing kind of group sessions. But over the last 6 years, I really focused on therapy for myself. I've been doing some shadow work and I've been doing Reiki for myself so consistently. And I feel like it's just given me the confidence and stuff that I need to where my anxiety is so much more manageable now.
That's beautiful. When you say shadow work, because I already know people are going to be like, what does she mean by shadow work?
Shadow work is a form of kind of facing your own triggers and your own kind of demons and dark spots and facing them on and being able to accept them and love yourself and forgive yourself in those moments to be able to heal and move on. So something that used to always be a trigger for me is I was such a big people pleaser with my anxiety. So I always wanted everybody to love me. I never wanted anyone to hate me. I would go above and beyond for others to the point that I would burn myself out. And with shadow work, I've kind of recognized why that triggered me. And like, you know, I was always afraid of people not liking me. And especially being on social media, you have to have a thick skin. So being able to kind of recognize that and heal through that has kind of helped me see that, you know, when people are mean, sometimes it's just them projecting their own fears and insecurities onto others. And like, you know, when you can look at it that way, it kind of makes you realize that, you know, you want them to heal and you want them to find help and to be able to love themselves in the way that I can now confidently say that about myself. So it kind of flips the narrative and brings a new perspective into things.
Most definitely. Because I know you have done in-person sessions and things like that. What's the weirdest thing that can happen during an in-person session? So when someone goes, they're not completely like, oh my God, what just happened?
Yes. I've had people cry for no reason. I've had people fart out of nowhere. I've had some very interesting things. I've had people kind of have like miniature like past life regressions or see colors or just like memories that they haven't had come up in a long time. So I've had some very interesting things, and all sessions are very like confidential. So I'm not going around telling people like who did what or stuff like that. But I mean, I've had people burst out laughing, burping, hiccuping are forms of release, yawning, obviously, when you're relaxed. So it could be anything from a physical to emotional thing that happens.
Energy is powerful. And that's why I always find it interesting when people come into your live chat and they're like, what witchery are you doing? But it, like energy is scientific when you're I mean, energy is literal.
Yes.
When you say past life regressions, I didn't realize that that can happen during a Reiki session. Why do you
I
think?
did not either until it happened.
Oh
That
my
like blew my mind. I said it must have been some kind of like mental block that had just opened up and released, but it was so cool to like be a part of someone's experience for that.
Oh my gosh. You've talked about so much really cool things when you were first learning, and this is probably why we had to do the interview now because I've learned so much about you over the last year and a half on
Yeah.
TikTok. You talked about the ways that you would practice giving Reiki to different things. Can we talk about the things that you can give Reiki to? Because people believe it's just humans and maybe animals, like, but you've given Reiki to other things.
Yes. So I always encourage everyone to at least do level one so you have access to this ability. I do Reiki for people. I do Reiki for pets. I give Reiki to my plants. I always say that, like, when I'm driving on the road and I see an animal that's been hit by a car, I send Reiki to its past self to kind of heal the trauma from that. When I'm in traffic, I will set the intention that anyone who's kind of really aggravated but would want to accept the Reiki could receive it to kind of help them relax. You can use some of the symbols from Reiki to kind of like offset your workspace. So if I have like an important document, I might do a specific Reiki symbol on that to kind of give it an extra boost of power to kind of get through the system. But yeah, there's really no limit to what you can do Reiki on. You're kind of just blocked by your own imagination at that point.
Because I believe you also even said that you've given Reiki to like technology and things like that as well.
Yes, I've done it for my car. I had my car stall out when I was in college and I gave it Reiki on the side of the road.
Did it help?
It did. My dad came and he tried to start it to drive it home for me and he was able to drive it the rest of the way home.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And then I wanted to talk about that because I think people just believe it's you can give Reiki to yourself, you can give Reiki to other people or even your animals, but you can give Reiki to almost anything, your plants.
I mean, energy is everywhere, everywhere.
And in everything.
Yes.
Wow. So not only, because like I said before, I discovered you and congratulations on 100,000
Thank
followers
you.
on TikTok.
Thank you.
I followed you, I don't remember how many you had then, but you've come a long way since then.
Yes.
What has this experience of doing Reiki and all the other jobs, because you have many other jobs besides being a Reiki master, like, in comparison to where you were then to where you are now, like, how do you feel? Like, what has been the evolution, if there was an evolution?
Since I started TikTok, I always joke with people. My first live, I was shaking so bad before I hit the go live button. I always joke that I could have used a shot of something because I was absolutely terrified because I had no idea how it was going to be received. And I had followed other people on there beforehand. And my sister and I had joked, like, if we each create a TikTok and we get 1,000 followers, like, how amazing would it be to help 1,000 people? And here I am less than a year and a half later with 100,000 or more now followers. And it's such a rewarding experience because the fact that you're able to help heal all these people in some way, shape, or form is just absolutely incredible. I mean, I have people who message me on Instagram and stuff like that, and they're like, I've had a migraine for weeks and I watched your live last night and it's gone. And it's like, to be able to give relief to someone like that is so incredible. I mean, everyone always thanks me, but I'm like, thank you for being here because I would not be able to do this with you not following me or being on this platform. It goes both ways, 100%.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, it's a powerful thing. And it's so interesting to me to see the more and more Reiki practitioners and masters that I'm discovering on TikTok, on Instagram. I find it so interesting, but I think it's also the direction that a lot of people are heading into. A lot of people are not relying on just medicine anymore. They're relying on things like Reiki, and, just other natural ways of healing yourself.
Yes, absolutely. And I always joke with people who come on my TikTok lives and they're like, oh, I only trust you. And I'm like, but I want you to experience Reiki from other people. I tell them all the time, we have an open relationship. Go see and experience it with other healers on here because I have people who I go to who I feel much more grounded and calm with. I have people who I watch who I feel more energized and uplifted with. And, why cut yourself short of experiencing something different from someone else?
Yeah, I agree. And look, I'm so glad you had said that on one of your lives because I was like, I felt a little guilty.
Yeah.
A little guilty.
Yes.
I was going to, I was like, well, she's not on right now.
Yeah.
Give me some of this healing. No, but you're right. There's certain people that you just gravitate to, and there's certain people that's like, I just no, and nothing wrong with them. This relationship is not going to work out.
Yes. And I tell people Reiki is like people. There are some people you're going to love and some people you're not going to get along with and vibe with. And that's okay. You don't have to go to them. But if there are people you vibe with and you reciprocate that kind of energetic connection with, then go and support them. Absolutely.
Can we talk about some of the things that you're working on now? Because one of the things that I'd love to see is your growth on TikTok. Now, you're not just doing your lives, you're actually having group sessions. People can book you. So let's talk about that. So because I know people are wondering, how can I get a session with Nicole?
Yes. So right now I'm working on finalizing my level 1 Usui Reiki course. As soon as that's done, I will also be doing level 2 in Reiki Master. And then because I was also recently attuned to Sakima and Violet Flame energy, I will be adding those as kind of like an add-on once you're already Reiki Master as well. I do offer one-on-one sessions. I do also offer live stream group sessions. So they're kind of at a discounted rate since you're in a group. I also do offer pre-recorded videos for cord cutting and chakra scans. And I also do some tarot card pulls too.
Oh, okay. Can we talk about the cord cutting? Because I know people are, again, I'm thinking for the audience, like, okay,
yes,
cord cutting. I might need that.
So cord cutting, and it's kind of different in certain things. I know pagans and witches kind of have their own version of it too. But with Reiki, you are energetically connected in a sense to everyone you come in contact with. So if you're ever in contact with someone who's very negative or has toxic energy, I always kind of explain it like almost like a spider web. Like everyone you come in contact with, a piece of their web is connected to you. Ooh. So people who I know, which is a really kind of disgusting way to explain it, but it's such a visual aid. It helps people really understand. So you're walking around with all these connections of everyone you come in contact with. And if you have people who are very negative or toxic energy, those are connected to you. The cord cutting is an energetic way of removing those connections to you to kind of give you your own energy back.
Wow, that's deep. And that's part of the reason why when I come home, I'm just like, I gotta either Reiki myself or I need to take a shower.
Yes. And I actually had someone on my live last night and she was like, I feel so angry today and I don't know why. And I was like, you might have come in contact with someone who was just feeling very angry and it just kind of transferred to you and stuck with you. And by the end of the live, she was like, I do feel a lot better. Thank you. So, I mean, you never know what's going on with others you come in contact with. And I mean, I'm clairsentient, which as someone who doesn't know what that means, it means kind of like an empath on steroids is how I explain it. I am very strong feeling with others. So when I walk into a room and I walk into a room of people who are kind of like very just like angry or frustrated, I feel that immensely. So for me, cleansing myself with like the selenite, like we said earlier, daily is huge for me. And I will do my own cord cuttings as well if I come in contact with people who are just not people with their energy I want sticking around on me.
Wow. Can we talk about the process too, in regards to, if someone was to come in a session with you, what that process will look like?
Absolutely. So usually before the session, you fill out a form for me that kind of includes what you're looking to get out of the session, whether it be physical healing, mental, emotional, or spiritual. And if there's any kind of problem areas, what you want me to work on. Typically, I always do a selenite cleanse at the start and the end just to kind of clean the space for both of us, and that so we're both leaving without each other's energy attached. And then I will intuitively pull crystals based on what you had put in there. So if you're someone who struggles with sleep, you have insomnia, I'm probably going to pull something like celestite or lepidolite because those are very soothing, calming, and relaxing crystals. And I'm probably going to work more on your crown and third eye chakra up here in your head.
Okay. And do people come to you? Because I know the other day, one of my friends, she texted me, like, I'm having back problems. Can you send me some Reiki? So I was like, all right. Like, what would you recommend for someone that's having like a physical ailment? Like what crystal and, like what would be your remedy?
So I love magnetic hematite when it comes to physical pain. I use kind of like the magnetic aspect of it to kind of withdraw the pain from the physical body while also doing like distant Reiki.
Okay. All right. All right. Nicole, first of all, thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you.
One of the things that once I was certified, I said I have to, because I know you sell, because Nicole has multiple jobs. This is why we get along.
Yeah.
We work a lot. Can we talk about the board that you made? What is the board called again?
It is a distance healing board. So, however, you can also use it for your personal self as well, which I don't know if you knew. But yes, my family has a small business. It is a laser engraving business called Sure Thing Laser on Etsy, where we do all wood engraved home decor. But we have a special line that I created just for kind of like the spiritual community, where we have crystal boards, we have distance healing boards and stuff like that.
I didn't know you had a crystal board. I'm going to have to check that out.
Yeah.
But I think it's great, especially for those that are interested in getting into healing. And like you just taught me now, I didn't realize I could use it for myself. I've been using it for everyone else.
Yes.
So,
yep. So just set the intention that you want that to kind of be your physical form, your chakras. You can line up the crystals on there for you.
Okay. I'm going to do that. I'm definitely going to do that.
Let me know how you like it.
I love my board. I love my board. I'm going to post all of your links in the description of this episode and on our visual version of the podcast. But before you go, Nicole, let everybody know where they can find you, because you're everywhere.
Yes. So I am on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, all under the same name, Nicole Reiki Healing. Unfortunately, there are quite a handful of imposters out there, which happens. That's kind of like the thing that happens when you're a creator on these accounts. But so just please be cautious. All of my purchases for sessions and stuff are through Snipfeed is who I use. So I am verified on there. So please don't ever send any kind of money to anyone who messages you or anything like that for readings, because it is definitely not me.
Yeah, it's so crazy. But I think it's happened to me on TikTok. But I feel like for those of you that are in the healing and astrology world, it happens like crazy.
Yeah, I tell people all the time, anyone who's a true healer does not have the time to kind of reach out to you and want to offer you a session. Like, we want you to come to us because you feel drawn to us or intuitively connected, energetically connected, something like that. And Reiki is always 100% about consent first. So for us to go out of our way to try kind of pressure you in a way into it is just a huge red flag. So please always just kind of proceed with caution.
I think the important thing, and one thing that we didn't mention, is consent. That is one of the most important things. So for those that are fearful that, oh, she's going to take my energy or do something with my energy. No, you have to consent to it first before anything.
Absolutely. And even if you're kind of scrolling through someone's live or session like that, you have to consent before you're able to start receiving. That is one of the very first things we're taught in Reiki is you never want to mess with someone's energy or their kind of personal bubble and their personal space without their consent first.
Yeah. Wow. Nicole Reiki Healing. You guys follow her on TikTok, follow her on Instagram, subscribe to her YouTube channel. All of it's Nicole Reiki Healing. We'll put it all in the description. Anything else before we let you go? I love this sort of Reiki 101.
Yes, I always encourage people, if this is something that you don't truly believe in, please keep an open mind, because I always hate for people to kind of miss out on the opportunity to kind of receive this healing in a way. I always challenge people that I love doing sessions or mini sessions for people who are kind of closed off to it or skeptics, because I like seeing them experience it for the first time. So keep an open mind. And if it's something you're interested in, definitely reach out to someone either local or online who can provide Reiki for you.
Most definitely. Nicole, thank you so much for doing this. Guys,
thank you.